Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Winning Edge Sports Podcast. Episode 11, I'm Ben Black and joined as always is Patrick Fry. We're back here in the studio. How are you, Pat, this afternoon?
I'm doing well. We kind of have a bit of a different logo going on here, but good to be back in the studio.
So in case you guys are listening on Spotify, there's something wrong with the HDMI cable and Pat's computer's decided to go all green. So
Yes.
Our logo that's traditionally purple, blue,
yeah.
around the circle has now turned green on us. So that's if you're just listening on the Spotify and you can't see what's going on.
Check out our socials at the Winning Edge Sports Podcast. We've put it up on our story where you can vote whether you prefer the blue or the now traditional or possibly new traditional green logo.
Yeah,
so
green
check that out and
yeah.
vote what one you prefer.
Yeah.
But let's get into this.
Yeah. So, what an exciting week. It's like, obviously, we haven't done our recapping sports episode, well, with you and I. Obviously, you did one with Aiden. In case you didn't know, Aiden's is not with us today.
Yes.
Got some stuff on. And, so a lot of things have happened in the last 2 weeks, which we probably haven't been actually able to talk really in person because, one, we've been on uni break, and two, we had Lily Goss. Go check out her episode. Should have been released last week.
Yeah. Good episode that was.
Yeah, it was.
Amazing chat.
And we really just haven't had a good one-on-one chat. So This might be a bit longer episode than usual, but let's get straight into it. So a lot to uncover. Round 21 has just ticked over in the AFL. If we kick things off, Marvel Stadium so there was 2 Friday night games. I'll probably tick over the first one.
How much did that confuse you though?
Yeah,
that confused me a lot.
It did,
because I'm definitely not used to seeing 2 Friday night games.
Yeah,
I checked. I was watching the Dogs and D's game, which we're about to get into.
Yeah.
Now I flick over to KO. And then it's got the West Coast Gold Coast game. I'm like, what's going on here?
Yeah. So Bulldogs are looking looking like a formidable force at the moment, with a 51.1 win over the Demons, 110-59. Bailey Dale racking up the bulk amount of touches for the Bulldogs with 34 touches. Bontempelli with 33 and 30 each.
Entrelaw.
Entrelaw. And then there was 8 players that kicked over 2 goals. Jamara could have really kicked 8 if he'd kicked straight.
Yeah.
And then Bontempelli will most likely take the 3 votes. 2 goals, 33 disposals, 5 tackles, 5 clearances, and 16 score involvements. So
just going back with the goals, there were 8 players that did kick 8 goals. They kicked
2 goals.
2 goals each.
Yeah.
We're not going to get into that because it's just we're going to be here for ages. So to save your boredom, if you want to check out who kicked the 2 goals, you can just go to the AFL website and check it out. But
and then Bulldogs are now 7th on the ladder, and then Demons not looking like they're making
Demons
finals.
look like they're out now.
Yeah. And then
Anyway, moving on, as we mentioned, there was a second Friday night game, West Coast versus Gold Coast, the Battle of the Coasts. West Coast ended up getting a 10-point victory, 97-87. Wasn't actually a terrible game, I thought.
It was just annoying because all the people... I was tempted to tip... I literally was like... I'm going to go for West Coast all week, and then I'm like, well, Gold Coast should have at least one game that they should win away from home. They still can't get it done.
Yeah, I know.
I'm like,
Anyway, Tim Kelly led the Eagles in the game with 31 disposals. Matt Rowell and Noah Anderson both had 34 Gold Coast. Jake Waterman led the game with 4 goals for the Eagles, and the 2 Bens, Ben King and Ben Long, both had 3 goals for the Suns. Minus a loss, I'm not sure if you agree with this, Ben, but I would probably have to say Joey Witts of the Suns probably would take home best on ground. 1 goal, 21 disposals, 4 tackles, 6 score involvements, 5 clearances, and 53 hit-outs.
Yeah.
Apart from that, with the loss, I reckon that's time to put a scrap on Gold
Yeah.
Coast once again.
Yeah.
But with 3 games left, Gold Coast is sitting 13th still.
Yeah.
As I said, I reckon
They've only won nine
Yeah.
games.
I
10
reckon you
games.
can definitely just like scrap them out with 3 games left. But
Mm.
they're currently sitting 13th, and West Coast is sitting on 16th.
Mm.
Next game though.
And then obviously North Melbourne took on Richmond. Not really much to cover. The battle for the wooden spoon. LDU 33 touches. Preston had 29 for Richmond. Larky kicked 5 goals. Liam Baker and Jacob Cozzy both kicked 2 goals for the Tigers. Tristan Cherry absolutely carving up with the tackles department. I think he's like 3rd in the tackles in the league. And then Dusty Martin calling time on his footy career.
Yeah.
Played his final game with 16 disposals, 2 marks, 1 clearance, and 4 scorer involvements. And yeah, so not really a whole lot to take out of that game. North just had to do what they'd do, and yeah, I guess we can move on to the next game.
Yep. So Geelong took a close, but also difficult and back and forth win over the Crows in a 5-point victory, 90 to 85. Rory led. Led the disposal count for the game with 29 disposals for the Crows. Tom Stewart also had 28 for the Cats. Jeremy Cameron, 6 goals. Not unusual. While Riley Philthorpe and Josh Rochelli both had 3 goals for the Crows. Jeremy Cameron, no doubt about it, probably best on ground. 6 goals, 17 disposals, 3 tackles, 9 score involvements.
And Geelong sit 5th.
Yeah. Quite surprising how close it was, actually.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, not huge. Yeah.
I mean, Adelaide, it is surprising that they are sitting where they are,
Yeah.
which is currently 15th on the ladder. Because they are a tough team.
Mm.
So, I mean, it's surprising, but also not surprising. And, I mean, apart from Geelong's start, they haven't exactly been consistently in form. But
Definitely.
Geelong currently sit 5th on the ladder, and Adelaide also sit 15th.
Yeah. And then we go to the game that probably the biggest game out of the whole round. 86,000 piled into the MCG to watch Pendle's 400th game, and Pat was one of those 86,000 people. Saw Collingwood take a 3-point victory. Mitch McGovern kicked a out of bounds on the full to really
We don't need to mention that.
don't really know how to mention that.
You care, but I don't want to hear about
Yeah.
it.
And then, it was a very interesting game. Like, you guys didn't score much in the first quarter. You kicked 1-8, and then,
Didn't score much.
well,
But 1 goal 8.
yeah, but like, yeah. Well, you did score, but like,
We just couldn't kick straight.
yeah,
That was our problem. Like, and look, and I've said this to a few mates. As a Carlton fan, I don't blame McGovern for losing us that game. Would it have been nice to have kicked that goal?
and me not show up this week.
Of
Probably.
course. I mean, if there's any team, as a Carlton fan, if there's any team that you don't want to lose after the siren to, it's Collingwood.
Yeah,
But I don't blame McGovern. 86,000 people are either booing or cheering for him to try and kick that
Mm.
goal. He's from 50 metres out on a tough angle,
yeah,
alright? But then also he's a backman,
yeah,
alright? He's never in those situations. And, well, that game, or that kick was, and probably will, determine the finals now for both teams.
yeah,
It determines whether Collingwood, it determines that Collingwood still has a chance,
and it can't play top 4.
and whether Carlton make it or not. Now,
You don't think they might?
well, we got Hawthorn this week. It's going to be tough.
So what
The-
really Pat's saying is Carlton probably don't have a chance of playing finals.
Anyway, we'll get to that later. But no, our goal kicking was just horrendous.
Charlie Curnow kept goalless for the first time in 66 games.
Yes,
So,
not goalless, but
yeah.
I mean he had a couple shots on goal and
Yeah.
missed them both. Unfortunately, only one of them went through.
Mm.
Anyway, moving on. We don't need to hear Ben's
Rant.
happiness and my currently not so happy state after that game. But moving on, Port take a surprising 112-point victory, 148 to 36 victory over the ladder leading Swans. Willem Drew led the game with 32 disposals, while the Swans were...
you should read our outline here. This is a good one. Pat's outline. While the Swans led, the Swans were 25. I want to know who that Swans player is.
It was a long night when I was writing this down.
Yeah, that would make
Let's actually get it up.
I just saw your face and you were like, and the Swans led the, who do I write?
We're getting this up.
I think it's Chad Warner.
Errol Goulden
Okay.
had 25 disposals, so there we are. Thanks, Ben, for reading out my horrible mistake there.
We all make mistakes, don't we?
Willie Rioli and Georgiades both had 4 goals for the Port, while Hayden McLean had 2 for the Swans. Zach Butters, best on ground, I
You
would
reckon?
say.
Not Willem Drew.
It's tough, but, you know, like, when you have a look at... Yeah, no, I would still say Zach Butters. I mean, you got what Willem Drew's stats are here. 32 disposals, 6 tackles, 8 clearances, and then
Well, according to the Brownlow predictor,
11 scoring. I mean, it's close.
yeah. Well, according to the Brownlow predictor, Connor Rosie's apparently expected to poll 2 votes in that game, and then Zach Butters isn't actually meant. It doesn't look like he's going to poll a vote in that
Oh,
game.
wow. Yeah, all right.
So,
All right, that's just my opinion. I would say that Zach Butters takes the best on ground with that. Currently with 3 games to go, don't know why we still need to mention it or why we still are. It's quite obvious now that there are 3 games left. Anyway, Port currently sit third on the ladder, 1 game behind Sydney, who are still in first.
and then GWS beat the Hawks. Hawks probably should have won. I think we can just go through this pretty quickly. Lockie Whitfield had 37 disposals. Jesse Hogan is now leading the Coleman with kicked 5 goals. Jack Gunston contributed for the Hawks with 4. Giants are now sitting 4th on the ladder, and Hawks are now sitting 10th. So, yeah.
Yep. Essendon, Fremantle, MCG.
Frustrating game, Pat. Frustrating game.
Who'd you
Essendon
tip?
shouldn't have won. I tipped there was 3 tips this week. I should have had 9. I could have tipped West Coast. Didn't have them because I thought Gold Coast were going to win. I was going to go for the sympathy vote.
Well, you went for you got that West Coast game one.
Yeah, but in my normal tipping comp that
Oh.
I'm doing back at home, I was going for the sympathy vote versus Collingwood versus Carlton. The top 5, I was like, I'll probably all tip Carlton, so I better do Carlton because I'm like, I don't want to cough up a vote, and that's probably the one that probably I'll say, okay, well, that could have went either way if Mitchell Brown had kicked straight. Then this one, Essendon don't even lead for the blooming whole game, and then they kick a clearance, and I was
Yeah.
like, oh.
Anyway, Essendon took a nail-biting 1-point victory, 89 to 90, over the Fremantle Dockers. In the final 30 seconds was a game-winning behind. Darcy Parish led the way for the Bombers and the game with 34 disposals, while Brayshaw had 33 for the Dockers.
I think it would have been one of the first time if they drew that Like, I don't think it ever happened before. Correct me, I'd have to do some research. But if they had drawn hypothetically, it would have probably been the first time that there's been 3 teams that have all drawn in the
Twice in the
old-
season.
yeah, and it was all to the same club. So Collingwood drew against Essendon and Fremantle.
Yes.
Fremantle drew with us. Essendon drew with us, and then
Wow. Both Jake Stringer for the Bombers and Jai Amos
Amos.
for the Dockers both contributed with 4 goals apiece.
Zach Merritt.
Zach Merritt had probably most likely best on ground. Again, 29 disposals, 7 tackles, 6 score involvements, 2 clearances. Bombers currently sit 9th on the ladder, a game and half a game out of the 8. And Fremantle are currently 6th, sitting a half a game inside the 8. So it's still very close.
It is. So Brisbane took on St Kilda. Pretty convincing game. A 6-point win. The last year's Brownlow medalist Lachie Neale had 33 disposals, so he'll probably rack up the BOG. Jack Sinclair had 30 for the Saints. Joe Danaher kicked 4 goals, 3 for the Lions. Rowan Marshall kicked 2 goals for the Saints. And yeah, Lions are now sitting second on the ladder, which considering they started the year at like
Not good.
0-5, I think.
Yeah. I really turned their season around, they did.
Yeah.
Anyway, as we mentioned earlier on, Dustin Martin, as well as 2 other AFL legends. I would call them AFL legends, would you?
Yeah.
3 AFL legends have decided to hang up the boots this week, being Dustin Martin, Tom Hawkins, and Andrew Gaff. 3 legends of the game and all one-club players. Dustin Martin had finished his career on 302 games, 338 goals. Was a 3-time premiership player, 3-time Norm Smith, a Brownlow in 2017, a 4-time All-Australian and a 2-time Richmond Best and Fairest. Tom Hawkins of Geelong, currently at 359 games, but still playing on for the rest of the year. 796 goals. Hopefully he can get to 800 before he retires for good. Or not retire for good, but he plays his final game. It was also a 3-time premiership player, a Coleman medalist, a Geelong Best and Fairest, a 5-time All-Australian, including captain of the All-Australian squad in 2022, and Andrew Gaff of West Coast, 278 games, still ongoing, 84 goals, 2-time All-Australian, and a West Coast Best and Fairest. Congrats on an amazing career to all 3 of them. Tips?
Yeah. So Sydney, Collingwood. Who you got?
I got Sydney.
Collingwood.
Alright.
I think Collingwood's going to upset them. I think 14 points. I'm pointing here. Collingwood's going to win. What's your margin?
We'll save that clip. Editor, save that clip right now. We'll
Bring it up
put
next
that
week.
down. We'll put that up during the week.
Yeah.
Whether Ben gets that tip right. I'm going Sydney. In Sydney,
How much?
19.
Okay. Brisbane Giants.
Wait, before we
Oh, yeah.
continue, if Sydney win, is that Collingwood out or not?
It would more or less likely almost get them out, but determining on other results, but it'll probably most likely get us out. Yeah.
Yeah, all right. Anyway,
Brisbane.
GWS.
I think Brisbane at the Gabba.
Yeah, I reckon so. They're in form. They just seem unstoppable at the moment. So I'm going Brisbane. Sorry.
Great Western Brisbane.
North Melbourne versus West Coast.
North.
North.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
It's in Tassie.
Yeah. True. I'm actually gonna go West Coast for this one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Freo Geelong. I'm going Geelong,
Fremantle over there.
but I think because they don't have Josh Tracy, and I think Geelong are looking all right.
Yeah, alright. Essendon Gold Coast.
As much as I hate to say it, but I think Essendon will win just because Gold Coast haven't won a game away.
Melbourne Port Adelaide.
Port Adelaide.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Going back, I was also going to go Essendon. I skipped that. So I go Essendon and Port. Carlton Hawthorn.
That's tough.
I've tipped Hawthorn.
I reckon Hawks will win.
They just seem to be in more form
Yeah.
than Carlton right
But
now.
in saying that, I just wouldn't be surprised if Carlton bounce back. So
We need it.
it'll be that sort of game that Hawthorn, if Hawthorn win, they'll win pretty well. But if Carlton win, it'll be that sort of game that Charlie kicks 6, and it'll just be like they need
If
this
he's
to get back into
I
football.
think he is actually.
Was he not playing?
Well, he went off injured in the final 10 minutes against Collingwood. Let's actually see. With that Carlton game also, it's also our heritage round. So we've actually gone back to don the
I was gonna say go back in
collared
time.
jersey and the old vintage
So
90s
Charlie
AFL
Kerner
logo.
is playing, so it's just Cottrell and Cherry
Yeah,
that's
right.
gonna be out.
Yeah, that sucks.
While Hawthorn have got Harry Morrison, Finn McGuinness, Cam McKenzie, and Jai Sarong.
Yeah. We got Carlton have Lockie Cowan, Jackson Binns, Zach Williams, Jack Carroll, and Lewis Young back.
Mm.
Chuck Zach Williams down in the forward line, please.
Well, I think it was a couple weeks ago. Didn't he kick like 3 goals?
It was more than a couple of weeks ago, but when he's down in the forward line, he's good down there. Anyway, moving on.
Richmond St Kilda. St Kilda.
Yeah, easy. St Kilda. Adelaide Western Bulldogs. I'm going the Bulldogs.
Bulldogs should win,
Yeah, I'm
but I
going
just wouldn't be
Bulldogs.
surprised if Adelaide win.
Yeah, all right.
Because it'll be that game that Adelaide just play well. I'll be like, oh, you can't even beat Hawthorn and you beat Bulldogs. It'll be
Yeah.
like,
I'm going the Western Bulldogs. They're just in form at the moment. Seem unstoppable. Bet Geelong, bet Carlton, bet Sydney up
Bet us.
there. Bet you. So yeah, I feel like Bulldogs are kind of like the team
in
to
fo-
beat right now.
them and Brisbane.
Yeah. Anyway, the ladder with 3 games to go.
Sydney, Brisbane, Port Adelaide, Giants, Geelong, Fremantle, Bulldogs, Carlton, Essendon, Hawthorn, Collingwood, Melbourne, Gold Coast, St Kilda, Adelaide, West Coast, North Melbourne, and Richmond.
Yep. What do you reckon that's going to end at the end of the year?
I think the only teams that will probably go out.
Well, let's think of it this way. I'm saying 12th and under, so from Melbourne to Richmond, are all out.
No, yeah, they don't.
Sydney, where do you reckon they'll finish?
The way they're playing at the moment, I think they'll drop as low as 3rd.
I reckon Brisbane will come back and finish minor premiers.
You reckon?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. I think
Who,
with that draw
who
against...
makes it? Who makes it though? Now we've just said
Okay, my top 8. Sydney, Brisbane, Port Adelaide, Giants, Geelong, Fremantle. Oh, maybe not Freo. I think
No.
I wouldn't be surprised if Freo dropped out. Bulldogs into 6th. Carlton into 7th. And
Essendon or
Collingwood making a late comeback.
Collingwood. All right. I'm gonna go. Wait, was that in any order or not?
No.
I'm gonna go. My top 8. No order here. Sydney, Brisbane, Port, GWS. I feel like you can all lock them in. Although the AFL have said that no team is actually locked in for a spot yet.
No.
I would still put all of them up there. Geelong, Bulldogs. How many teams is that?
2 more teams.
2 more. I'm
Yeah.
going to say Carlton and Hawthorn.
Okay.
Yeah. I reckon as much as Fremantle is still up there, I feel like after their loss the other day,
Mm.
I feel like that may have set them back a little bit.
They'll be set back, I think, against Geelong this week. So
Yeah, so yeah, I reckon Fremantle may just miss out.
Mm.
I'm gonna give Carlton that spot
Mm.
just because of the way we finish. We finish with West Coast and St Kilda.
Yeah.
And then
I think Hawks finished with West
Hawthorn.
Coast and no, they finished with North and Richmond, I think.
Yeah, and they also got us. So I'm going to give Hawthorn the benefit of the doubt there and put them up in the top 8.
Yeah.
Again, that's no predictable or no order there, but that's mine and Ben's ladder at the end of the season. So we shall come back and see how that goes. We might actually have to write that down,
We probably will. Yeah.
just so we don't forget.
Coleman medal, Jesse Hogan 58, Charlie Kerner 56, Ben King 49, and
Brownlow is looking close.
very close. I saw so AFL.com.au suggested that Paddy Cripps is racking up the 3 votes against Collingwood.
I mean, we got to hear, who would you actually give free
Nick
votes
Dacos.
to here?
Nick Dacos. Nah.
I got both of them here. Patrick Cripps finished with 1 goal, 30 disposals, 4 tackles, 9 score involvements, 7 clearances. Nick Dacos, 1 goal, 28 disposals, 6 tackles, 6 score involvements, 7 clearances.
Yeah.
Minus a loss, I would give Cripps a 3 votes and Dacos the 2 votes there.
Okay.
And that's not me being biased. That's just how I see it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But then,
I wouldn't be surprised if it's a 3-way tie.
yeah. But then even, like, if you have a look at the other players that played during that game, there are a lot of players that you would think may even get a vote over Dacos, possibly. I mean, you have Nick Newman, Sam Walsh, George Hewitt, Hoskin Elliott, Darcy Cameron, Jeremy Howe, and Pendlebury.
Jeremy Howe. No.
In terms
Pendlebury.
of AFL fantasy, all of those players got better points than Nick Dacos. Now, that doesn't mean anything at the end of the day.
No.
But when you have a look at I mean, Nick Newman, for instance, I know they lost, but 34 disposals, 5 tackles, 3 clearances.
Yeah.
It's going to be tough.
Yeah.
It'll be very interesting to see how the voting does go for that round. I reckon that round may determine who finishes higher.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on because we got a lot more
We
to
do have a
get
lot.
into.
Yes.
The Olympics,
Has been on.
we're actually closer to the closing ceremony than the opening ceremony.
Yeah, and we have, I don't think, talked 1 minute. Have we actually talked anything on the Olympics?
Apart from the first question that we asked Lily last week, no. And that was, have you been watching the Olympics?
We're definitely really behind.
We
the
are
times.
very behind. But if you've been keeping up with our socials, we've been chucking down the results for the Aussies up on our social media. Anyway, let's get into this. The Boomers have unfortunately now been eliminated from their Olympic campaign after a disappointing loss in the quarterfinals in overtime against Serbia. Paddy Mills has more than likely played his final Olympic basketball game, and he finished with 26 points. The Opals, on another hand, through to the semi-finals matchup against the USA on, I think, Saturday morning, our time.
Chances?
It's going to be tough. As much as I want to see our Opals get through to the gold medal match, I don't really see us beating the USA.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, I did also say off camera that about the game against France and we ended up winning that.
Yeah.
So we shall see what happens there. Either way, our Opals are now playing for a medal, which is amazing. And the last 4 times that we have gone through to the semi-finals, the Opals have come home with a medal.
Okay.
And all 4 of those times, Lauren Jackson has played or has been in the team.
Or was she like 43 or something? So she's been.
Yeah, she's amazing.
Daisy could be still playing.
Oh, I love Gazy, but I doubt it. I mean, Gazy played in his last Olympics when Lauren Jackson played in her first.
Right.
Anyway, the Opals quarterfinal match was also against Serbia, and they finished in an 18-point victory. Alana Smith and Jade Melbourne led the way for the Opals with 22 points and 18 points respectfully. And then after winning 4 of their games in the group stage, the 3x3 women's Kangaroos ended their campaign after falling short to Canada in the quarterfinals 21-10.
They come up with some wacky names. The Kangaroos.
No.
It's like, who names them the Kangaroos?
It's they played amazing though. Shout out to the girls. They played hard. But the main Olympics now, or not main Olympics, but let's get into.
Oof. Yep.
There we are. There's our green logo. Let's get into the rest of the Olympics.
Yep. I think we could probably quickly run over this because I think we've already been speaking for quite a long time. But, you know, we're not boring you already. So.
It doesn't matter.
Doesn't really matter. So, currently at this time, so we're speaking on the 9th of August, Australia on day 14 currently sit 3rd on the medal tally, 45 medals, 18 gold, 14 silver, 13 bronze. Some of Australia's medals have include Jess Fox winning 2 gold medals in the canoe and kayak single with her sister Naomi.
Naomi.
Is it?
Naomi.
Yeah. Sounds like watching 17
It
again.
is,
Naomi. No, it's Naomi.
It is confusing though. Like I was saying to my parents, how many times, and I heard this in the race. I really wish we could just get it up, but we won't because it will be too hard for those.
It will be coming up in green.
Yeah, probably. I think I actually heard the commentator. There were 2 commentators. One of them is actually her dad.
Yeah.
Which is just crazy. Shout out to Richard Fox.
Yeah.
I don't understand how he keeps it so cool. Like, Ben, for instance, like, say you're commentating on your daughter or your son's football game in the future. Would you be calm?
Not really.
No, exactly. Richard Fox keeps it so cool, calm, and collected. But the person I was commentating with, I think, actually did pronounce it Naomi or
Naomi.
yeah, but it is Naomi.
Naomi.
Anyway, let's move on. But yeah, so Jess and her sister both collected 3 golds. Both, I think, equal 15, just the 2 of them in the medal tally in terms of countries, but moving on. We have dual golds in the skateboarding men's and women's park, with Keegan Palmer going back to back and winning a gold medal in the same event that he did in Tokyo, as well as Arisa True becoming the youngest Olympic gold medalist in Australian history. I hope I'm saying this correctly. Saya Sekabara. Yeah. In a marvelous comeback story. Have you heard about that?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. Pretty crazy, the fact that she fell over and got back up and 4 years later she's a gold medalist. So
yeah, it's amazing story. coming back from what happened in Tokyo to win gold in Paris. Truly inspirational story. Grace Brown also gave us our first medal and gold for the Olympics when she won in the women's time trial road cycling. Also her last international race as well. And she finishes on top, so good on her. We've mentioned we've mentioned how we're currently sitting third on the medal tally of 45 medals, 18 gold, 14 silver, 13 bronze. A highlight, though, that we've had is the swimming. What did you say, Ben?
Pardon?
The swimming.
The swimming? Yeah. Well, we know how to swim in the pool.
Yeah.
18 medals, 7 gold, 8 silver, and 3 bronze. We literally... hear me out. So I think there was 2 silvers that we got that we came first and second in. Wasn't it?
Huh?
Wasn't there there was a game that... there was
two silvers that we got.
Yeah, there was two races that we got gold and silver.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was...
Tipless and Molly O, literally.
Yeah, Molly O. Yeah, that was an amazing race.
Yeah. It's sort of like Ariana just saying, you get gold. I've got too many.
Yeah. Shout out to our swimmers in the pool.
Yeah.
Hopefully we can perform as hard as in the Paralympics in a few weeks as we have here last week. But yeah, Ben, we've mentioned how we're closer to the closing ceremony than we are to the Olympics, to the opening ceremony. What have you thought of the Olympics so far?
I thought it's been pretty good. Obviously, this Olympics, so if we go through the last few Olympics, Tokyo, and probably Tokyo was obviously COVID, so obviously was not saying it was boring, but it was just everyone was wearing masks, so you couldn't hear any of them. And then
it's also similar to what Cole said when he came in and joined us.
Yeah.
If you haven't checked out that episode, we had a Paralympic swimmer about a few weeks back now. Check out that episode. Amazing episode, amazing guest. Alright, go
on. And then obviously the Rio Olympics in 2016, obviously the time zone was, I was in year 7, I think, and that time zone difference was a lot harder.
I can't even remember watching those Olympics.
Yeah, well, and this one has probably been good in the sense that most events, most of the main events, the good heats and everything are on at 7 p.m. So it's not like I'm up till 3 a.m.
Yeah, exactly.
So
unlike me.
Yeah.
I've been staying up pretty much each night and watching the Olympics. I stayed up and watched Jess and Naomi.
Yeah.
I stayed up and watched Keegan and Arissa. All just... And one thing that is amazing from these Olympics, minus the fact that this is our most successful Olympics ever, each gold or each medal pretty much has a amazing story behind it. It really does. You have a look at Saya in the BMX. Gets a really bad injury that didn't look good for a long time.
Yeah.
And then came back 3 years later and won gold.
Yeah.
Grace Brown, first gold, final international race, wins gold. All of our swimmers just amazing in the pool. We broke a record of, it would have to be some sort of record, but we have now won the women's 4x100 4 consecutive Olympics. We won it in London in 2012. We won it in
Rio.
Rio in 2016. Won it again in Tokyo. And then we made it 4 in a row last week or a week and a half ago and
Yeah.
won it in Paris. So, amazing story from all of our medal winners.
Definitely.
We're not going to read out all of them because there's far too many.
Yeah.
But just truly remarkable, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Like, do you have what's the one event that you've really gotten into?
I got this asked this the other day. I think the gymnastics have been very cool to watch.
Yeah.
Just the guys on the bar, as much as no Australians were a part of it, but they know how to fling their body and
I don't understand how they can do it.
No. Yeah, obviously the swimming.
Has there been? Because I feel like if you watch the Olympics, you're always bound to get into one event that you will never get into unless it's the Olympics. What's that been?
Watched a tad of judo.
Yeah.
And I was like,
That's crazy. I don't understand how they can get their legs up that high.
yeah.
I would probably have to say the skateboarding and the canoeing.
Yeah, I didn't actually see that live, but yeah. Yeah. Go down to the local skate park for Brisbane.
I can barely just ride on the skateboard, just maybe 50 meters on a flat surface, let alone do what they're doing at.
Yeah.
Some of them aged 13. It's crazy. Where were you when you were 13?
Where was I? I was in, year 7? Yeah.
Probably sitting down at a desk doing homework. These guys are out competing at the Olympic Games. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I don't understand. What about the diving though?
Yeah.
That's been. I can't watch the diving because I'm just scared that they're gonna hit their head on the dive board when they're jumping.
The synchronized diving, I'm like.
It stresses me. I even just watching it.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think that's it, isn't it?
I think so. There isn't a whole lot of news around the world at the moment.
No.
I think it's just foot in the Olympics.
We'll touch on more on the Olympics next week.
Shout out to Cole. If you didn't know, Cole Pierce had his documentary premiere last night.
Yes.
Down at Lido Cinemas. Heard it was a pretty good success.
I didn't go, but I heard that it was amazing success.
Hope he does very well in Paris. I'm sure we'll be cheering him on.
And congrats on the commercial as well.
Oh yeah, if you haven't seen Cole Pierce's ad,
I feel like everyone's seen it.
Yeah.
But if you haven't realised who it is though, in the Woolworths ad is Cole Pierce, who came in the studio about a month ago, I want to say, maybe a little bit longer. It's on every 5 minutes.
Yeah.
It's an amazing commercial, so
I
shout out to
know
Cole.
that man.
Yeah, I know. It's I remember when the first time I saw it and I was chilling watching the Olympics. I think it may have even been the skateboarding in the first week. And I'm just chilling watching the Olympics, and then Cole's come. I'm like, oh,
Let's go.
yeah, I know him. But yeah, shout out to Cole. He's about to head off to Paris and compete in the Paralympic Games. Hopefully he can come back with a medal, let alone gold. Do one better than Tokyo, or two better. So touch wood that he can get that done for Australia.
But
wrap up?
Yeah, anyway, thank you guys for listening. This has been another episode of the Winning Edge Sports podcast. Don't forget to follow our socials on Instagram. We should be soon going live on our Facebook page. It's still in its last final bits to get it up. And yeah, so if you look on our Insta page, the Winning Edge Sports Podcast, and then you can listen to this on YouTube of the digital version, or go listen to the audio on Spotify. So at the Winning Edge Sports Podcast. So thank you very much for listening, Pat. It's been a pleasure. And
Don't forget to vote for what logo you
Yeah.
prefer, whether it's the green or the blue.
Mm.
Shall we do something a bit different? Shall we do the classic hit the subscribe button,
Like, subscribe,
turn
and
on
comment.
post notifications?
Yeah,
I feel like you always hear that though.
you do.
But do what you want.
Yeah.
If you want to hit subscribe, we appreciate it.
Yeah.
Chuck us a follow, as Ben said, on all of our accounts. He's already gone through it, but
Yeah,
Ben, been another episode.
it has been.
Let's get ready for the next one next week.
Sounds good. Thank you very much for listening.
Thanks, guys.